The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development. With a magazine and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives, at The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co. So thank you so much. I'm Bernardo Muy. I'm the CEO of NLP Life Training, and I'm very excited to do this in this group for the first time, the Bandler McKenna community one. I've been running these Facebook Lives for quite some time. I'll explain a little bit more about myself. I'll explain a little bit more about NLP Life Training and a little bit more about The Best You. But I've been running since, obviously, we've all been in isolation. I've been running these Facebook groups, and I invite loads of guests to come and join me. So I've been doing that on the Best You platform, and I was very excited to do something here today at the Bandler McKenna community, which is the NLP Life Training private Facebook group that we've got. I've got a phenomenal lineup of speakers who I'm going to be inviting. Now, if you are one of our guest speakers, just stay there, please, and I'll let you in the panel in due course. You're all coming in at different times. For those of you who are going to join us, you're welcome to stay whatever time you want. But ideally, I'm going to be letting you in slowly but surely. So the guests today, I have Laura Spicer, Diana Perez Cabas, Alexander Sinigok. I've got Marilyn Sandoval, Christiane Neuman. I have Susy Shikoda, Orlando Zucchetto. I have Sara Davison. I have Tina Taylor, Cindy Galvin, Paul Boross, Garry Jones, and Naheed Khan, and me, Bernardo Moya, hosting. So very excited. Thank you so much. So let me slowly start letting some of my guests coming in here today. And what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about all sorts of very exciting things. I have so much expertise here. It is just crazy and scary. Laura, I can see your face in a photo, and hopefully you're going to be joining us. There you are. There you are.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
lovely.
Bernardo. How are you doing? Are you well, first and foremost?
I'm very isolated, so I'm well. I'm very isolated, but I'm out of the bathroom now. I've been here now in the front room for a little while. So lovely to see you. I'm just trying to see if Diana's here. So she was going to join us also at 10 o'clock. As I said, I know there's some of you that are already here in advance. If you do arrive, please feel free just to send me a message on the chat. And if you were scheduled at a specific time, I'll let you in. But as I said, this is just lots of friends talking, sharing ideas. So I'm going to start with Laura. Laura, how are you?
I'm grand, thank you. I like this. I like being stuck at home, but then I'm very lucky to live in a lovely place. And
yes.
A big garden. And I do keep thinking about the poor people who are stuck in small flats with no garden, and I hope they're just hanging in there well and thriving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I spoke to a friend of mine the other day. They're in a closed apartment, and they haven't got they've got no space. And I just said, well, just leave the kids in the car. Do you know what I mean, for the morning, and then pick them up later. He didn't get it because he was American, so it took him a bit of time. I said, I'm only joking. But yeah, some conversations are being had at home, and some conversations it could be a little bit intense. So Laura Spicer, she is the only designated sound communications trainer for the Society of NLP. She specializes in public speaking, confidence, charisma, and fluency. So I've known Laura for quite some time now. I had hair when I met Laura, and it was all black. And you were part of the assisting team, Laura. So Laura, I'm doing this here today, and we're going to be running these pretty much every weekend, where I'm going to be inviting lots of guests, assistants, trainers with massive, vast expertise. Obviously, communication is one of the things that you talk about, but what are you sharing more of now, if anything, with what we're going through now, isolation? What kind of techniques or tips would you give, or are you providing and sharing?
Well, first of all, I seem to be helping a lot of people to work out how to use Zoom, which is the platform we're speaking on now. And as you probably know, Bernardo, I was kind of ahead of the game because I've been running trainings and practice groups through Zoom for the last few years. I thought, this is a good plan. I don't have to go out, and I get to see my clients, and I get to run my little groups. There are certain trainings which I wouldn't do across this platform. For example, I wouldn't do a practitioner course on this platform. I think you need to be in physical space to learn NLP properly. But for a lot of my voice work, this is really ideal. And one of the things that I really notice is how intimate it feels when you're working like this. It feels like you're in my living room, Bernardo.
Yeah.
Welcome to my home. But then, of course, that's two ways. So for me, it hasn't made a huge difference work-wise. I'm doing more free stuff for people who are stuck. There's a lot of free stuff at the moment. I think there's some great stuff out there. If somebody asks me to do something, I consider it. But I'm really busy. I'm really busy. I guess all my coaching clients probably are thinking now's a really good time to do lots of coaching. So I'm working very hard at the moment, much harder than usual.
I know that's kind of the common denominator I spoke to everyone. Everyone seems to be, because the thing is, you can't get lost. There's no commuting. There's no going out for a lunch or a quick beer. We're just literally stuck working all the hours God sends.
Yeah.
So because we've got so much expertise here today, Laura, with a lot of the challenges that people might be struggling with, isolation, and your knowledge in NLP, what kind of tip or advice would you give someone that is struggling already with hey, I've been closed in for 2 weeks and and I'm struggling to be in a closed environment such a long time?
Well, my personal opinion is that there's a really great opportunity for us at the moment. There's an opportunity to get to know ourselves when we are spending less time focusing out in the outside world. There's an opportunity to discover some things about ourselves that we didn't already know. The most important thing is for each person to find what they personally need to do in order to be not just safe and happy, but thriving under these circumstances. And I personally think it's different for everybody, but I think there are some ingredients which are helpful to everybody. And one is to know how to relax really, really deeply. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to listen to some wonderful hypnosis that Richard has produced and other NLPers, which is all about healing and relaxing and having fun. So I think that's an opportunity we have. And I also think that as much as everybody really wants someone else to tell them how to do this, I think this is a moment to look for our own resources, because there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I do think relaxing is kind of useful for everybody. And I also think that getting creative is useful for everybody at the moment. But my policy actually has stopped being telling everybody what to do. I always thought I knew what everyone should do. Right now, I'm noticing that there's an awful lot of conflicting tips. And so I'm not really offering tips other than to say, what is it that makes your heart sing? When you're stuck at home, what do you want to do? And, getting used to being able to do nothing and feeling good is kind of useful. There are some people out there who just don't know how not to be busy. And I think this is a great opportunity to learn how to chill. That's what
and I also believe I also believe the same thing. I think this is a time of massive creativity. There's so many people that are doing so many cool things, and it is, kind of the mind's just literally looking, because we're looking for solutions. We're looking, some people, had it well done. It was quite established. They knew what they were doing and they didn't need to transition or reinvent themselves in any way. But there's a lot of people that, it's a new reality for them. And unfortunately, it will continue to stay this way. So,
I'll tell you something, can I just say, Richard quoted Virginia Satir, Richard Bandler. For anyone watching that doesn't know who Richard Bandler is, you should find out. This is a great opportunity. And when we're off lockdown, this is, I don't get a cut, do I, Bernardo? But
no, you don't.
I promise you, learning from Richard Bandler is one of the best things you can do for yourself. I don't think I would have survived without having learned from Richard Bandler. And he says that Virginia Satir said, man's greatest fear is not death or divorce or moving house or any of these things. It's the fear of the unknown. And I think that we're all facing a bit of unknown at the moment. We don't know when this is going to end. We don't know who's going to be safe, who isn't, and all of these big existential questions. So to me, this is an opportunity to learn how to get uncomfortable when you don't know what the hell is going on. That's what I'm doing, getting really comfortable with not knowing. I like that. That's a useful skill.
Absolutely. And I'm sure everyone, or well, pretty much anyone that's on this platform, because we're sharing it on the Bandler McKenna or, our private Facebook group, knows who Richard is, but we're going to have plenty of opportunities. Marilyn, I can see you there. I'm ready to let you in whenever you are. And I've got a couple of other guests. So I'm just going to say some names out. If some of you are ready to come in now, like Paul, I can see you there, Paul Boross. Always love to have you in. Paul's there. I also have, I know, Orlando, you're going to come in a little bit later, but you're more than welcome to join us as well. So just put your hands up if you're presentable, if you're not in your pajamas still, or if you just got your top and no pants on, if you're ready and you want to share some ideas, well, come and join us and we're going to be letting you in. But look, at the end of the day, if anything, out of all of the people that are listening here today, and all of the people that, have joined us, or have done some training, is that NLP is probably, if not one of the most powerful tools that's out there. And having these skills where obviously, you're aware of changing or being, changing your internal dialogue, making sure that you are aware of whatever limiting beliefs you're starting to create without even realizing, that this is the time to reframe, the current situation that we're going in looking out at, exactly the disadvantages that we might be having, but how great these could become as far as opportunities.
They are gifts. We are getting gifts. I see this virus as a gift. Just saying that. I know it's got a huge downside, but most things have an upside and a downside. One of the important basics of NLP is flexibility of thinking and behavior. Hi, Marilyn.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, Marilyn. How are you? You okay?
Yes, I'm doing lovely. I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited to hear what everyone's got to say. And thank you for having me.
Where are you now?
I am currently in London, UK. I'm an American, so there's my accent, but I live in London.
Okay. So Marilyn is an experienced life and business coach, a full-time entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Wealthy Women. So what are you doing now as far as helping, assisting your clients in going through this? And what is kind of the common conversations you're having, if any?
Yes, definitely the common conversations that I have. Just for background, I work mainly with female entrepreneurs, a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants. And a lot of the questions that have come up is, am I able to still sell during this time? Am I able to still do my business during this time? And so a lot of the questions has just been redirecting and pivoting our strategy so that you're still able to serve, because at the end of the day, everybody is still a coach or a consultant, and they have a special gift to serve others. And so if you genuinely believe that what you have is going to be valuable to others, it's just about reframing that and helping people through this time.
Yeah, and I think if one of the things that I will point out is obviously, because of, luckily we have social media, so we can do a Zoom and we can, do a Skype and we can connect with people and WhatsApp away or whatever it is that we're doing. But, there's so much going on now, any of you that are on Instagram or any of you that, and I'm sure all of you are on Facebook or YouTube, that little red light is popping up every 2 minutes. You can literally see, oh, he's gone live. Oh, she's gone live. Oh, he's gone live. Oh, she's gone live. So I think the challenge is now, well, first of all, it's beautiful because everyone is really engaging, supporting, collaborating, and really seeing how we can, support each other and make a difference. The challenge I find now is that it's going the other way, where what the hell shall I focus on? Well, what shall I watch? Because there's so much out there.
It's overwhelmed.
It is.
Overwhelm. That's the question I'm getting from my clients. How do I deal with the overwhelm and too much screen time?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that we have to be smart about, because a lot of the ideas I've been talking about with other coaches and trainers over the last weekends is about making sure that we compartmentalize and we use the time to do things, because it isn't about spending all time on social media. It isn't about, doing all sorts of things and not really focusing on one, getting work done, but also learning and educating. I think there's a lot of people that just simply don't spend enough time, or they might not take advantage of the time to learn new skills. And this is one of the things that I think is absolutely essential, to make sure you dedicate a number of hours every single day in new skills. Hey, Susy, how are you?
Hello. It's nice to see Marilyn here.
Hi, Susy.
How are you doing? Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation.
So, Susy, where are you at the moment? Where are you based?
I'm in London now, but I'm from Brazil.
Okay.
And I decided to stay in London because I think here is more safe right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll question that. But anyway, Susy is a master in NLP, author, speaker, mind trainer. She teaches people to program their minds using all their senses by changing habits through essential oils. Okay. So, Susy, you might be selling a lot of essential oils. You're probably not using a lot apart from what it was. So how are things for you? How is it working for you? How are you helping and supporting your clients?
Well, right now, as you're very right. So I'm selling a lot of essential oils, because not just in London, but everywhere in the world. Then I have some friends, because they very worry about the virus, right? So essential oils, it's very good for bacteria, virus, fungus, and everything. And also to work with your mind right now. So for me, nutrition, energy, and essential oils is a good combination. So I start to make some lives. So explain the whole set. How can you boost your energy through the oils, through some techniques like NLP, another energy like a Reiki, or some manual then you can do with people. And the nutrition, because the nutrition right now is the only thing we have to cure ourselves, right? Because it's the immune system. So it's the combination of nutrition and the mind and the brain. So they love it. I think I work more now than before.
We were saying that before, that I think everyone has the same feeling, that everyone is just simply working so many hours now in comparison to before. I mean, look, we've been sharing that idea as well regarding, obviously being isolated is important. But, it is really down to what you eat. It is down to your immune system. And a lot of the people that, will struggle less or won't find necessarily challenges is because, they've eaten well, they have vitamin C, that they also have the right frame of mind. Stress does not help your immune system either, so it really is making sure that you take care of the basics and the essentials. And a lot of people tend to underestimate, how powerful our mind is, obviously with hypnosis and with the right, making the right pictures in our mind, but most importantly with having a good, strong immune system. So any other further thoughts on, now I know a lot of you, how many of you are either were already in a place where you were doing a lot of things online? I know Laura has, she's got a great, and obviously now so current, from anyone that wants to practice in a practice group. Well, Laura, and I know you've posted in the past, and feel free to do that afterwards.
Yeah, come on, join our NLP practice group. We rock.
Absolutely. So Laura was ahead of the game. So what about you? How are you getting on with either reinforcing what you're doing now or transitioning into accommodate to kind of what we have?
Yeah, I'm definitely online already all the time. So now it's just, I've definitely amped that up a lot more. for everybody. I coach ladies how to get online. So we've definitely seen an influx of people who have wanted to shift. Maybe they were doing like one-on-one coaching of NLP or any type of coaching outside in person. And now they're just bringing it online. So just kind of just adjusting people that way, but definitely have increased on my side.
Okay. What about you? Susy?
Oh my God. Last week I did a 24 hours live, nonstop.
24 hours?
24 hours. I had more than 25 guests from Brazil. So this is for celebrating the World Transformation Day. It's a movement with 2 Indian friends start in 2018. And then I said, you know what? This is a big opportunity to share what I do and sharing what my friends does, right? To the mind, brain, any type of training. So I got big speakers from Brazil. I got my mentors. I got professor, teachers, everybody, mothers, So we share this 24 hours. And then this is one more general. And now I want to create one special for the mind, 24 hours live, just for brain and mind. So I'll invite all the specialists again, and we're going to make it this marathon.
Well, amazing, exciting. Well, I think kind of one of the things that, us in particular, lucky or not, or, we actually didn't have our NLP trainings, for some of you that may or may not know, NLP Live Training, has been promoting Dr. Richard Bandler and Paul McKenna for the last nearly 11 years. And, we've normally had our courses in May and October. And funny enough, this year, we actually postponed. Well, we didn't postpone, sorry. We actually just scheduled one course, which was in October. And so, it hasn't caught us in a bad way because, it would have been tremendously challenging, to have 400 or 500 international students that we would have had to basically postpone the event for a later date. So for us, it's worked okay. We had a lot of the content that we've had over the years. We did have online. I think one of the things that we are, and luckily we've got more than 60 NLP live talks, which are talks that we've got from all sorts of people, including Laura, Jace, Richard Bandler, John Laval, Kathleen. We've got some fantastic content there in the library on the Best You Online. But we're obviously now very keen in exploring what we could do in order to create courses that aren't necessarily, a practitioner, which ideally, as Laura was saying, we probably have to teach in a class. But there's a lot of skills that you can be taught online. So we will be transitioning quite, very quickly there in order to bring NLP to home. Because look, let's face it, it is going to be a new reality. My concern, Laura, is how many people. I think this is not only. I think this is going to be a phenomenal time as far as creativity, as far as people coming together and creating amazing content, writing amazing books because they have the time now. But I also believe, additionally to that, it's going to be a phenomenal time to be NLP trained if you're a coach, a trainer, a therapist, or whatever, because you're going to have a lot of clients. You're going to have a lot of clients with all sorts of phobias, all sorts of fears, all sorts of anxieties. So what's your thoughts, Laura? Because I'm really concerned about how many people. I went upstairs to the terrace the other day, and I must have been at least 20 feet away from this couple. And their eyes were popping out like I had radiation around me, calm down. Chill out. There's so many people are just completely. What's your thoughts on that? Aren't you concerned about how many people are going to be really phobic or have fear about these things, Laura?
Well, I think that every behavior is useful somewhere. I'm just thinking I need to learn a bit of OCD hand washing and a flying phobia right now. Perfect time. But, it's all about the behavior which is appropriate, because every behavior is useful somewhere. What are the appropriately useful behaviors right now? And so people may be developing phobias, and all of us, I'm sure we can all help them with that. This is the perfect time to do some voice work, guys. If you're an NLPer and you've been thinking, my voice could serve me better, now would be a fantastic time to come and do that. As for fear, it's not the best master. And so I am helping people to transform fear into relaxation. And it's funny because when you flip fear, something really wonderful happens. And when you learn to be very present in the moment and pay attention, nothing's going on right here now. But if you came and stood a few feet from me, I'd probably say, get back. And I tell you what somebody did the other day. My dog was off the lead. I was having a little walk in my countryside retreat. And she ran over to somebody. And the person patted my dog. And I said, please don't touch my dog. I think we have to be really careful to make the right distinctions about what is considerate behavior, to use our imaginations. Do you know what? I think now is a wonderful time to really build some creative imagination. And I'm doing that with my clients a lot at the moment, because I think when you've got a really great imagination, it makes it easier to imagine what it must be like to be someone else and be considerate. And I am noticing a lot that there are a number of people coming to me, and I really want to, how we would say in NLP, expand their map. And I think this is the perfect time to do it. And the other thing that I think, your brain doesn't do the not doings very well. That's a clunky way to think. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be fearful. We can not do, but when we're not doing, what we're doing is doing something else. So for me, the way I'm working with my clients is to focus on what they do want rather than what they don't. And I think when you put your attention into what you do want and then amplify it so it feels really great, the fear and the phobias and all the other limiting stuff just falls away. So I'm having a lot of joyous times with my clients at the moment. We're having extra fun and a lot of pleasure because that's what we're focusing on. And that would be my advice.
Thank you, Laura. And I think, to be honest, and it's not, this has been my mindset when I worked with people, so through the Best You, I've had the opportunity to promote a lot of speakers, a lot of people that have spoken on our stages when we've done big events, and a lot of people that wanted to get involved with us. And with love, I've always, one of the questions I always ask, well, have you done any NLP training? And when the answer has been no, I'm really non-judgmental, but when it comes down to that, I just know they haven't got a set of skills. It's as simple as that. And I think anyone and everyone that has done the NLP training has experienced the same. So I just think we're in a lucky position. I think any of us that are NLP trained, we're in a very lucky position. Thank you, Dr. Richard Bandler, for sharing this, because we are able to provide really great advice and skills to people, and I think that's what is needed, and that's there's going to be a lot more clients and a lot more customers. When Richard says, you know what? He says, whenever I travel, I never need to bring any customers with me because I find them everywhere I go. Well, you know what? Those seminar rooms are going to be even fuller with people. When eventually people get rid of their phobia of being with other people, it's going to be a great opportunity, but it really is. So, Marilyn, what would you say for you is what are you sharing more often when you speak to people, or what are you finding more of that you need to help them with, with whoever you're speaking with, either a client, a customer, or someone that you feel they're not using the right language? What are you doing? What are you saying?
First, what I'm doing is, of course, checking in, because this is a very different time for everybody. And some people are taking it on very different levels of, if you're staying at home, if you're going for walks. So I always check in with this formula called the O-HALT. If you're overwhelmed, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, we first have to check in there to make sure all of your basic needs are met. And then from there, we go ahead and I help redirect your energy. So very similar to Laura. It's definitely focusing on the fun, making sure to taking this into experience. I work with a lot of different clients. So we have some moms who are now becoming homeschooling moms. And now we have the dads who are at home with their moms or their wives. And now you've got this constant bickering going on with your kids. And you have a lot of different dynamics going on. So it's first just like assessing that situation and then making sure to incorporate everybody and kind of putting this harmonious balance with the lifestyles, because as much as we're coaching just one person at a time for our clients, we also have to remember that there's usually a whole framework behind it of family members, or everybody's worries are going a little bit further out than just themselves right now. And so it's just making sure to redirect and say, okay, what is it that's under our control, and how can we rechange this story and this narrative for ourselves today? And so when we wake up in the morning, instead of thinking, checking the news and realizing like I'm in this huge pandemic, it's okay, what adventure can I have today? Where is this? How am I going to spice up what's going on in my house with my family? How am I going to incorporate everybody? And so that's definitely been our common trend and our common theme, to just really incorporating a fun in our lifestyles and also bringing in a type of flow amongst everybody.
Yeah, thank you. And that's great advice. I've heard that quite a bit. And obviously it is the fact, control what you can control, and what you can't control, well, hey, listen, just let go. And one of the things that, is very simple is again, what you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on reading about coronavirus 4 hours a day, guess what? Your levels of stress are going to go up. You just simply, and you know what? At the end of it, you're going to become an expert, but you're going to become a very depressed and stressed expert. Read the necessary information. What is the information? They've told you you've got to stay at home. Stay at home. They say you've got to wash your hands. Wash your hands. So just have the basic things and then just get on with it. And then just appreciate, as you say, what we have and take this downtime, for heaven's sake, to and use it wisely to do all those things, because I can only, well, we all know. How many of us have procrastinated about all sorts of things? I should have, or I'm going to write my book, and then you just don't get that. You just don't make these things happen. You don't do it. So take advantage of the time. Now, before I wanted to ask you as well, Susy, what else are you doing? But I've got a couple of guests that are here now, and I know some of you are early. So please, either Sarah, Paul, any, or Orlando, if you guys are ready. Again, if you're not, if you're dressed. And you're in front of the camera, well, let us know and I'll let you into the panel. But it has happened before. I've seen some people in Zoom come in and they're naked. Not with me, but I've seen it with other people. Okay, so I'm very careful. So please give me a heads up. So Susy, what are you doing apart from obviously, doing these 24-hour marathons? I do hope you have some food or someone brings you food, because if not, where's Susy? Oh, she's on the floor. She's fainted. So what are you doing?
Well, most of my clients, the people I treat, they complaining about anxiety and depression, right? So I'm trying to bring the focus on what they have. They have a brain, right? So let's work on your brain. So I invite them inside of my house, and then I show what can I do, what we can do together. So we do exercises, brain exercises, because people just think we have physical exercise, but they forgot the brain. And we need to work with our hemispheres. This is the big trick. And doing the techniques of the Bandler. NLP is fantastic for you refrain, for you anchor, right? Anchor. This is very important, because in any situation they have in a house, we do some therapy together, then they anchoring the good moment. So if they're not with me, they can use. So it's basically see the simple things do you have in your house. Like we used to say in Brazil, we have to dance accordingly with the music, right? So what's the music you have in your house now? So let's do it. And important for us therapists right now is the timing to try what we're teaching if it really works. So working with you, working with others. So it's the same question I do for them. What do you do in your business, or you do in your life, or you do outside of your house, or it's different? So most of them say to me, well, in my house is different. So I said, no, now is the time to you practice in your house, because when this finish, you're going to have a big chance because you're practicing your life outside. So, so becoming, a big group, then you're doing exercising together right now.
Well, that's great advice, Susan. There was a couple of things that I'm just going to point you out, and I've got Orlando and Sara who I'm going to introduce in a minute. Hey, guys, how are you? So one of the things is you say that you should use your brain. Well, that's an assumption, okay, that you can't necessarily have. Not everyone has a brain. I'm only joking. So, but the bottom line is that this is the time where we have to walk our talk too. It's not only about, standing up to the plate and making sure that we are going out there to help people to use our skills, for us to be able to kind of lead the way in a way. But it's also the time to make sure that we really practice what we preach, which I think is kind of in line with what you were saying. Yeah. I say this with love a lot of the times, that I think a lot of people should read their own book, okay? And I mean that, because there's so many people. I'm the happiness doctor, and they're the most miserable person I've met in my life. It's complete, they're completely incongruent with who they say they are and who they really are. And I think that's one of the things that I really encourage you coaches, trainers, NLPers is to be congruent, to walk your talk.
But not just now, all the time.
No, always. But I find this, you can't be at home miserable, angry, and stressed, and then go and tell people, oh no, this is a great time for you to reinvent yourself, when you just look miserable and you're miserable. So, guys, please, you have phenomenal skills. Make sure you use them. So let me just introduce you to Orlando. I didn't know your surname is Zucchetto. Is that how you pronounce it, Orlando?
That's correct, Zucchetto.
Man, that sounds very Italian. Orlando is Is it Italian?
It is Italian. As you can maybe tell from the accent, I didn't grow up there.
Oh, no, I
was born and bred in New Zealand, but my father's Italian, so half and half.
Yeah, well, it definitely sounds Italian to me. I mean, that's the closest to bruschetta that I've heard. Orlando Zucchetto is an international NLP coach, trainer, clinical hypnotherapist, and design human engineer. Thank you, Orlando. I'll give you the mic in a minute. And then Sara Davison, my friend, best known as a divorce coach. She's an award-winning authority on breakups, divorce, and life empowerment. And I've got to say, Sara, every time I put my bloody Instagram on, you're live. Do you actually sleep? You're live all the bloody time. I mean, woman, you got to chill out a little bit. I know there's a lot of people that need help because, there's a lot of challenges at home at the moment. But you're always live. Oh, sorry, you...
Thank you. Thanks. Hi, I'm literally on free webinars, IG chats, Facebook Live all day long at the moment, just trying to give as much help and advice, because obviously going through isolation, there are huge problems arising. People that are just newly single, struggling with their breakups, still living with their ex. Domestic abuse in the UK is going through the roof right now. So I'm the patron of a domestic abuse charity. So I'm out there giving as much free support as I can at the moment. So I'm pretty much on there all the time, as my son will tell you.
Yeah, where's my mum? She's always in front of that computer. Orlando, where are you right now? Are you in the UK as well?
I am. I'm down the south of England in Christchurch.
Okay, cool. So, Orlando, I'll continue with you. So, what are you finding? What are you engaging? How are you supporting? What do you find yourself doing more of currently, I suppose, apart from, doing things online? What are you finding kind of the common denominators with your clients, your customers you work with?
Well, a lot of it surrounds the words fear, scared, and limbo. The word unprecedented, we might be sick of it, but it is correct. A lot of people just do not know what to do. And the reason I'm consistently finding they do not know what to do is home has changed, work has changed, finances have changed, people around them have changed, and everything's happening daily, go. And they're getting caught up in that, and they're trying to think at that speed, which is different to what they would normally do when they're being particularly resourceful. And the overwhelming advice that I've had to give to every client, even just to understand them, is just say, stop. slow down, and now tell me what you need or want. And in that simple moment, by taking a breath, slowing their body down, slowing their thoughts down, when they articulate to me what they need or what they want, I have had the instance where one of them actually said, what I actually need is another half an hour. Can we book for half an hour? I need to think about this. Because he had not been able to think about it in his normal capacity. And the person I'm speaking about is not alone in the position of being in a very successful role of business ownership. He has a lot of staff around him. His team, most of them have been with him for a decade. And he has literally taken home the weight on his shoulders of all of his staff's potential future. Well, of course, while he's looking at this massive thing in front of him that he has to overcome, and there's so much information coming from different directions, and some of it, to be fair, due to the speed of the changes, has been varying from different professional bodies versus government. It's made it very, very difficult to make clear-cut, informed decisions whilst maintaining a veneer of control to staff. And look, the role of authenticity in our society has just gone through the roof. Those that are standing up saying, I'm not comfortable with this, and let's work together and find a solution, that's ringing true to a lot of people outside of the exception to the rule that says, there's no problem here, there's nothing to see, there's nothing to see. Well, unfortunately, people are spending a lot of time seeing, as you mentioned earlier, Bernardo, possibly far too much of the same thing over and over again that they may not need to be reminded of. And they're not stopping and going, actually, what's in front of me? What do my senses tell me? These are the people around me. This is the sensible thing to do. Here's what I can do. And here's some really stupid things I'm not going to do. I do not need to go to the park on my own with 2,000 other people. It just doesn't work like that. But the overriding message, or the theme, I've been in contact with almost all of my customers, which are either coaching clients or practitioners that are looking to enhance skills. The initial contact to all of them was just, whatever you are doing, just stop, slow down, and when you're as resourceful as you possibly can be, then look at what you can do. And you might actually come up with some new ideas. Some of it is still, minding my language, not flash, but it is what it is. And the things that we cannot control are out of our control. What is in our control? How can we make this feel familiar very quickly? Because once our environment around us feels familiar and we get a routine in place, whether that's work, job, children, whatever it might be, once that routine's there, we go, right, I have a feeling of familiarity, therefore I can be in control. And that familiarity, when taken away, is very powerful. But when you bring it back into yourself, it's even more powerful because you are in control.
Thanks, Orlando, and that's great advice. And I think, I use that analogy sometimes that we have challenges or problems that, are, we're so close to them. If you look at it, it's like if you were in a forest and you're just literally standing in front of a tree. If you've got your eyes and your face in front of the tree, well, you can't see the forest, can you? All you can see is just wood right in front of your eyes. But if you take 2 or 3 or 4 steps back, all of a sudden you start seeing it in a different angle. And I get that a lot of people actually might not be able to maybe walk and go out for a walk, or a lot of us still can. But I for me, it's so important to become aware. Obviously, with NLP we know this, but think about what you're thinking about is what I'm trying to say. Is and spend time thinking about quality things. And again, this time that we have, which is in front of a screen, which we're spending a lot of at the moment, isn't beneficial either. So that's what I was saying before, is to make sure that we value and spend time in watching great things. I had a Facebook Live yesterday we've got a relatively good reach. This was with Jeff Hoffman. He's the founder of Priceline and Booking.com. He's a billionaire. I mean, this man speaks, everyone should listen. And there was like 16 or 15 people on it. And I was shocked because I'm thinking, this is just madness, because with love and respect, there's a lot of people waffling and talking about a lot of nonsense as well, so we could be distracted and spending time listening to the wrong people or doing the wrong thing. So, again, let's make sure that we spend our time wisely. So, Sara, you're helping a lot of people. You, as I said, you're online all the time. So what, very challenging. I know part of it is obviously living with someone that, there might be some an unhappy marriage or even abusive, which could make it even more difficult for kids as well, So I'm sure that's one of the reasons that you're finding yourself, all over the place right now, trying to help and support people that way, aren't you?
Yes, I mean, I just think it's important right now to do whatever we can with the resources that we've got. Like I'm not a nurse or a doctor, so I can't be out there on the front line, but what I can do, and I know a lot of the other experts here on with you, Bernard, and your network are helping people in whatever way we can. So that is important to me. So, and I'm getting stacks of emails. I mean, I'm running another webinar in 15 minutes, my own one, and I've literally got pages and pages of questions that have been sent in for me to answer, anything from living with a difficult ex to my ex left me and I'm on my own. How do I co-parent during this time? All sorts of different things. But one of the things that's become really, I think, is really interesting is that the behaviour that we're in the UK, being forced into isolation, is actually really similar to the behaviour that we go through after a breakup, because that forced separation, that forced having to be on your own at times where you would normally be with somebody else, losing that contact, having to build your self-reliance as an individual rather than having someone else to lean on, is actually very similar life skills. Those NLP skills that you were talking about earlier that we all learned. I mean, I learned them with Richard, it was over 20 years ago now, I think, scarily, but those things those skills are transferable. Those skills you can use with the same skills that you're using to cope with adapting to surviving with isolation, coronavirus, and the same life skills you can use to get over your breakup. So it's about looking at what works for you as an individual and then using those strategies that fit for your personality, the way you live your life, who you are, because there's no one size fits all for everyone. It's not going to be the same. Like what works for one of us isn't going to work for our neighbour. So we've got to really tune in. And I think that's where the expertise of all us experts here, coaches, therapists, can really come in to help people on a one-to-one basis, but actually helping and giving sort of generic advice and answering questions like I'm going to be doing in a bit. It really helps as well, just to give people that boost, I think. And it's really important that we all do what we can right now.
A lot of it is around community. Obviously, a lot of it is around communication and discussing, because it is very intense. Hey, listen, you might have been married for 7 years or 10 years, but you might be spending more time with your other half, in a month than you probably spent in the last couple of years, technically. So it's going to put a lot of stress. So what is best to do, for those couples that are spending a lot of time with their kids and they haven't got any private time or any time for them to be able to build on what they do?
Well, I think the first thing is you've got to communicate better, because each of you are going to have your own ways, your own individual ways of coping with heightened anxiety, which is what we're all living with now, with the fear and uncertainty of the virus. So how do you normally cope with anxiety? So are you one of those people that snaps? Are you a snapper? Are you a nagger? Do you retreat? Do you get quiet? Do you shut down? We all got to be honest with ourselves and think, gosh, how do I react with that uncertainty and fear? And know that behavior, you're going to be doing a lot more of it because of the fear around. And also acknowledging what your partner or your ex-partner, in some cases, how they react, and sort of coming together to say, look, with love and understanding, let's treat each other with kindness and respect during this. I know I'm going to be a snapper and you're going to get angry. So let's work out how we dissolve that when those issues come up. And I think if you can, not everybody can do that. Not everyone can have that amicable discussion and be that honest without it turning and escalating into an argument. But if you can, that's a great place to start. And if you can, or even if you can't, creating a safe sanctuary for yourself in your own home where you agree that that's your time out zone almost, so that you can go away, shut the door, and that's your little piece of sanctuary where you can go and not be interrupted. is important as well. Everybody needs to create their own private space within the environment that they're living in, even if it's just for a few minutes at a time.
Perfect. Great advice. Thank you. Paul, Boross and Christiane, I know you're both there. You set up as panelists. So just jump in whenever you want. Turn your camera on, especially you, Paul, if you're visible, okay? Turn the light down.
He's dressed, though. He's dressed.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Hey, Paul.
In the war, I'm reading my own book, to be honest.
Hi, Christiane.
You were reading?
Yeah.
You was reading a book?
Yeah. Well, you told me to.
Yes, well done, Paul. And so has your missus let you out of the bathroom then? Yeah, for an hour?
Just for 10 minutes, and then I'll be gone.
Okay. I heard she put you in the car the other day. That was out of order, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, well, but fair, to be honest with you, because if you've lived with me, you've lived through worse than this. No. Not true at all. Actually, I was actually just really enjoying the conversation and the advice and, so many things that it actually brought up. And one of the things was, Laura, lovely to see you, Laura. Laura said very early on, the virus is a gift. And I thought that kind of summed up everybody's attitude, that those of us who are lucky enough to have been NLP trained and worked with Richard and worked together, some of us, have an attitude. And that's what we can actually share with our clients and share with the world through Facebook Live, is your attitude dictates your altitude. So, if you change, was it Maya Angelou who said, if you can't change your circumstances, change your attitude? And actually, I think that that's one of the most valuable things you can do. And it goes back to Orlando's point about what can you control? You control your own attitude, and that's in your remit and in your power. So I just thought that was really very inspiring.
Thank you. And sorry, I didn't introduce my friend Paul. So Paul is the pitch doctor. He's a psychologist, author, performer, and he's a master in the art of verbal communication. That's why he is the pitch doctor. But apart from that, he's a great friend. And Paul's been joining me in a couple of some of these different Zooms we've done in the US, also here. And great to have you back, Paul. So Christiane, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. How about yourself? How are you doing?
Very good. So Christiane is a licensed NLP Master Practitioner and NLP trainer. Her mission is to help to find the inner freedom and strength to create better and authentic lives. Where are you now, Christiane? Are you in LA?
Los Angeles, Culver City, not far away.
Cool. I know the weather. It's raining here, guys. It's terrible. And I've got to say, Orlando, when you were speaking, was that a bunch of birds outside your window? Some birds.
Yeah, I just had to take the video off and actually put some paper up on the window because I think we've got everyone's sun in the UK, so I think today must be summer.
I've got to say, and we've been talking about that, are the birds singing more, or is it just we're just paying attention to them? Or are the birds extremely happy about us staying at home and for once letting them come out to the, and have some fun?
And in London, they're getting birds and animals coming into their garden that didn't come there before because they can, because we've got a little bit out of the way. And nature is very quick to see an opportunity. And as soon as she does, she takes the opportunity. So we've got a lot to learn from nature.
And this can only, I mean, excuse me, I'm not political. I don't want to but even Mr. Trump must agree that this is good for the environment. This is good for global warming. If the planes aren't flying, if the cars aren't driving, if we're not out there, just literally polluting everything, what we're going to be able to achieve in a month could probably, take back the global warming years. We had some really serious targets here. And this is
I've got to tell you that the most important thing to me is not what's going on now, but what we create next. Because I am going to be pretty disappointed if humanity just goes back and puts back in place everything that was going on before. And we go back to this full on pollution and this horrible not caring about each other. In this gift, we've learned to be more authentic with ourselves and others. We've learned to invite people into our homes and let them see us for who we really are. We've learned to be grateful for the things that really matter. When you're just glad you've got food, it doesn't have to be caviar. You've got some food, that's a reason to celebrate. So we're focusing on important things. And my prayer is that we bring some of what we've learned and create something better, ongoing. I don't want to go back to the old.
It won't. Things will be very different moving forward. So, Christiane, what are you doing? I mean, here in LA, unfortunately, it's grey here, which is not normal. So we're having to deal with a bit of rain in the last 3 days, but we're still able to go out and drive. And thank you, Susy. Take care. So we're still able to do things and be able to get out there. So what are you finding? What are you doing? How are you sharing? And what's kind of your new reality at the moment?
Well, my reality at the moment is that I finally find the time to write the book that I meant to write for the last 3 years. So this is the time that I make use of it. Also writing a chapter of a collaboration with other trainers for a book that's coming out very soon. I also teamed up with an Artists for Trauma organization, offering my services there to people who are currently having issues with anxiety or, fear of, anything that's helping at the moment. And I'm giving my time there for free, and they're doing a wonderful job. So, Laura Sharp, who is the founder of that group, we connected in a nice way. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay, brilliant. So apart from talking to people, are you, or you're writing your book now, but is your business changing? Are you having to catch up with a lot of new things that you weren't doing before that, either by force or either by force or because you want to?
Well, no, I think it's something I want to, something that has never been the time to do that before. And like Laura said, we're all starting out with Zoom now, kind of learning more about other platforms to use, webinars to learn something online, ebooks, something in that area. I'm fairly new. I mean, we know each other for, quite a while now because of the Bendler seminars in London. But for me, this is kind of a new area I'm venturing out. And I'm very excited about this. So I'm looking forward to really kind of using the first few years that I came to NLP from my background with trauma to making this now useful to teach other people, to help other people. Because I can so relate to all the fear of the uncertainty, the unknown, not feeling control, which I can tell by my colleagues that I've talked to because I'm coming from travel actually, but I'm talking to them now and I can sense it. And there will be a lot of this around there. So it's good to have that background, maybe able to share the knowledge, how NLP has helped me to overcome that, the steps to take. So that's what I'm looking for.
Absolutely. And we were saying how lucky we are, those of us that have these skills. Paul, I know you wanted to jump and say something, but I wanted to ask you a question and then please comment on whatever you wanted to say. I was thinking this morning, and we talked about it last time as well, and it's a quote of Richard's that says that humor is your invisible shield. This is the most important time to laugh, isn't it? And trust me, I'm not laughing at the situation because it is serious, but again, if you can control what you can control, and if you can't control, because Paul and I were laughing about some of these things going on Instagram. A guy walking into a supermarket with a dinosaur outfit, or a guy walking in with plastic bags, taped all around his body and his head apart with two eyes.
Did you see the guy with the hula hoop who connected to his head? So that everybody had to stay 2 meters away from him. Yeah. So he has this enormous hula hoop around him. And so he's in a supermarket. And you're right. And everything, well, we all know, working in NLP, that humor is one of the greatest state changers there is. And actually, one of the quotes I love best about Richard, apart from the one you just said, Bernardo, is that people say one day you'll look back on this and laugh.
Why wait?
And it's true, isn't it? Because if you can't get perspective now, it's really tough that you do it. I do it with clients all the time, because if you want to shift their state, for me, the easiest way to actually shift their way of thinking. And if you're laughing, you're getting a different perspective on the way it is. So I think it's crucial. I don't know what about you guys, but I think it's probably one of the greatest things we have in our armory.
If you're interested in finding your true purpose, if you're interested in finding your legacy, if you're interested in growing, if you are sick and tired of reading books that don't help you, haven't helped you, or are not helping you, or attending courses and seminars that haven't really had an impact in your life, I invite you to read my book, The Question, Find Your True Purpose, out now. For more information, go to www.thequestion.co. If you're interested in working with me, contributing, speaking at any of our many events, partnering, or licensing The Best You, for more information, go to www.thebestyou.co. If you're interested in watching the video content of this interview and many others, or interested in learning from world leaders and teachers, go to www.thebestyou.online.
Absolutely agree. Yes, absolutely agree with that one. Yeah.
And when you look at Richard working, and a lot of the NLP trainers, when you look at them working and obviously making, laughing at the problems, making humor around it. But again, it really affects your immune system, so if you're laughing more, if you're really not taking life, as seriously as they all want us to take it, you're going to feel different. If you feel differently, you think differently, you're going to feel differently. So that's pretty much it. So Paul, what else what are you finding a lot of when you're speaking to people, apart from obviously, trying to get them to kind of like, laugh a little bit? What are the main things that you're sharing with them?
Well, the main things is people who watch a lot of the news, and I know you were talking about it earlier, are so inundated with the words that they keep replaying to themselves. So, you're getting everybody going, well, it's a really crazy time and nobody's happy and everything's terrible. And it comes back to whatever you say to yourself becomes your reality. Yeah. And one of the things I'm having to do with pretty much everybody is to get them to watch their own language patterns. Because if you're saying that, people are just going to go deeper and deeper down into the mire. I think your advice about not watching the news too often is very good. Unless, like me, you enjoy watching Trump's press conferences late at night, just for the language patterns and the body language. I mean, for us, it's a gift, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, that's where I'm getting my laughs.
Yeah.
I mean... Yeah. It's not. I feel sorry for you in America, to be honest with you, but
and karma's funny how it goes round. Paul Boross, isn't it? I mean, I'm not being funny. I mean, I've been looking at. I've been reading the news. I saw what was happening in Italy. I saw what was happening coming to Spain, and everyone taking measures in the US. And I was just gobsmacked because I could see, oh no, everyone still go to the pubs, everyone go to the restaurants. Excuse me, this is a reality. Guys, take action, and we're not going to talk about that. You and I are going to talk about that another time. Leadership, guys. We need new leaders everywhere, because some of the leadership that we've had around the world has been absolutely appalling. I mean, playing with people's lives with no responsibility, no sense of responsibility, and no brains either. It's just shocking. So, Orlando, what are you doing now that you weren't doing before? Because, hey, I don't know when we're going to be back at the seminar rooms with hundreds of people in the room. And I don't know if you're going to do a rapid hypnotic induction, by touching their hand without them slapping you back in the face. So, what's going to be happening next?
Well, look, extending on what yourself and Paul have been saying, and I think one of the other ladies touched on it earlier as well, that, yeah, it's all very well having these skill sets and running around and making them available to other people, but I do think that it's first look after yourself and get yourself in the right state before you're working with others. Look, I'm human too. When the day it was announced that everything must stop, within one sentence on the television, I watched a 4-second movie in my mind of my training business that just disappeared. And, for the work that had gone in to build that, I'll admit that was heartbreaking. I believe there's a saying in the UK that you kick the cat. It doesn't sound very nice for the cat, but when you get peeved off, you kick the cat. Well, I was all out of cats, so I grabbed a beer and I sat outside. And I had a real good whinge to myself. And after about 60 minutes to an hour and a half, I got fed up with my own moaning. And I had to stop and go, hang on a second, take your own advice, buddy. Stop remembering. Whether it's, I don't need the TV to remind me. I don't need it to help me remember something bad. And I certainly do not need to be doing it myself. Just stop, get yourself in check. And a little thought came to me, a memory from 20 odd years ago. I walked into the office of a guy called Api Hemi. He was the manager of Auto Terminal in New Zealand, and he was a co-owner and founder of IBC in Japan, the largest vehicle networking exporting company. When I met him, I wasn't looking for a job. I was happy I was actually buying a car. And I walked in and he had a plaque on his desk and it said, attitude was everything. And within 10 minutes, he caught my eyes going to it. And I said to him, do you believe that? Well, then I got a 20-minute rant on it was everything in his life. Within 2 hours, we'd made an agreement, and 2 weeks later, I started working for him. One of the best decisions I made in my life. It wasn't based on the job. It wasn't based on anything other than I had the opportunity to be around somebody that was very successful and lived what they taught. I mean, he wasn't just putting it on the desk. He was it. It was a gift, that plaque, from his staff. And it doesn't surprise me or anyone else that I know that years later, I was studying and training in NLP in 97 back in New Zealand, not with Richard. He hasn't been to New Zealand yet. But when I did first meet Richard, I really went there to find out if his version of NLP was different. Well, I tell you what, in 30 minutes I was hooked. And what got me was he described NLP as an attitude. It has skills and methodologies, and it leaves a trail of techniques. Now, we'd been taught that model some years earlier, upside down. If you learnt the techniques, you might get some skill and then you could feel good. Well, anyone that's been in front of Richard for 30 minutes knows that is not acceptable. And look at it, my model of the world and these skills just absolutely opened up. And sitting outside, before I got to the bottom of that beer, I went, okay, things have changed. But we are in an industry where there's going to be some huge opportunity for us. Others, not so much in some respects, but things are going to change again. And if there's one thing that we should be able to manage, it's change of ourselves and working with others. So although I already work to a small degree online, within the last 2 weeks, we've already started continuing doing work with individuals and starting working with groups, learning more about Zoom and other media platforms that in the past, to be fair, I wasn't really interested in. And look, I could look back and say, maybe I should have been, but look, where am I now and where do I want to be in a month and 6 months' time? And what's really important to me is in a year's time when I look back, I want to look back and be very happy and proud with the decisions I'm making now, because I don't want to wait for the future to start influencing it. Yeah. Now's the time to start acting and building towards that and taking the time out to just chill out as well.
Yeah, it is definitely a time to do that too, Orlando. And I think, look, for me in particular, I had my event, which was the Best You Expo here in LA, and I postponed it literally 10 days before they shut everything down, because I could see it coming and I wanted to be in control of my own destiny. You talk about stress. Well, I had 12,000 people pre-registered and 150 speakers kept traveling from all over the world. So that was slightly stressful. And obviously being not because, hey, I've always run events. I've always promoted events. I've always put a lot of people in the room, and I've always had a sense of responsibility. But this is obviously responsibility on steroids, because then you're thinking, well, hold on a minute. If I do the event, then people, get ill. I'm going to feel bad. If people come and then there's no one there, they're going to. So I was never going to win. And at the end of the day, I got quite a lot of stick at the beginning, and then everyone fell into place and said, okay, now we get it. But even said that, there's still people now still going, say, oh, well, I want my money back and things like that. And I say, well, hold on a minute. It's a pandemic, this is what they call force majeure. So, but the thing is, I think what happens with challenges and problems in lives is that we have to have that 5, 10 minute, 15 minute, half an hour whinge. Okay. And let me tell you, for those of you that are listening, when you complain, you're a negative person. Okay. So for those of you that think complaining, I complain, but I'm not, I'm positive. No, you're not. If you're a whinger, if you complain, you're a negative person. That's a fact. So, okay, if you have to complain, complain. But then get on with it. And then you have to be focus driven. This is the difference that makes a difference. The difference is looking at the solution and looking at what's going to happen next, because there's no use, absolutely no use in spending any time in why. You just have to be solution driven. And that's what's the people that are going to stand out are going to be the people that find the solutions. The people that there's a lot of people making a lot of money now. There's a lot of people making a lot of money. If you have a toilet paper factory, you're making bundles of money. If you have a supermarket, if you have a takeaway, if you have sanitizers, there's a lot of people making money. But there's going to be a lot more people making money, and there's those that transition quickly, those that move quickly, those that adapt to the new reality quickly. So there's so many skills that we all, not all, a lot of us have to learn in order to be at the head of the game. And then again, when it comes down to training, and I will stop here, I want to advise you, for those of you that haven't done NLP training, those of you that have been thinking about doing a coaching program or a public speaking program or whatever it is that you were thinking of doing, this is the time to do it, because you've got to see this as imagine this like a big supermarket or a big commercial center, and you're in the middle of it. And imagine that you think, oh, you know what, I should start walking towards the door because the door's going to open soon. Now, you're thinking, well, no, hold on a minute, I'm going to wait a little bit longer because I still want to stay safe. No, there's people already at the door. There's already people already outside the door. But you know what? You don't want to be the one that's stuck in the toilet, okay? The one that's stuck in the toilet, the one that's there still last. So invest time and money. And for those of you that are NLP trained, for those of you that have training companies, for those of you that provide services, where now we get picked on, So if you go out there and say, oh, I'm going to charge you for my coaching program, I'm going to charge you for, people expect everything for free now because the economy is tough. No, this will have to change. Okay. This is only temporary. And then what we need to do is we need to do what we need to do. We need to provide our skills, and people have to pay for those services. The same as you pay in the supermarket, the same you pay when you go to the chemist. And if anything, this is probably the most value that people can get right now is having NLP trainers, having coaches like us that can help them. So that's my thought on that. Mm-hmm. Any of you jump in, and I just wanted to say that anyone that is here now that's supposed to jump on board, just please put your hands up, and I will let you in, okay? Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I realized I didn't say when you said about tips is, and Paul mentioned, how you talk to yourself is really important. So if you're scaring yourself by saying scary things to yourself, don't be surprised if you feel scared. But it isn't just what you say. It's how you say it. And one of the things that I'm working with my clients who've got a certain level of skill, a lot of my clients are already NLPers, so they're overriding some of what they would say with more sensible things, but it's the wrong voice. Because if you're going, calm down in your mind, it doesn't work. And, it's no good lying to yourself, and the voice has to carry the message, whether it's on the outside or on the inside. So anybody listening who's been talking to themselves and saying all the right things in the beautiful words, but in the wrong tone of voice, when you change the tone of voice and you sound really reassuring in your mind, suddenly you feel really reassured.
By the way, I love that.
That is great advice, Laura.
I love that. I just want to repeat it because I just thought it was so lovely. The voice has to carry the message. I just thought, that's really so profound and so clear.
No, it is, Laura. Have you done this before, Laura? Is this your first rodeo, as Richard says? Is this your first rodeo?
Oh, don't make me feel old, Bernardo.
Hey, knowledge and wisdom. You're a fountain of knowledge. Anyway, I have a couple of other guests here. I've got Cindy Galvin and Garry Jones. Cindy. Hey, guys, how are you?
How are you doing?
Great to see familiar faces.
Hey, Cindy.
So, we've got to stop meeting this way.
I know.
Yes. Yeah. So Cindy, I'm going to do a quick introduction. Cindy helps people get success faster and make more money without having to work longer and harder hours. We were saying that we're all working so much longer hours, so I need your help, Cindy. She's also a speaker, author, hypnotherapist, and a licensed trainer of NLP. And welcome here. And also I've got Garry. Garry, lovely to see you, my friend.
You too, Bernardo.
So Garry is a transformational coach, international speaker, and a martial arts master. He helps those with mental health challenges and regularly does voluntary work for those suffering with PTSD. So, guys, thank you for being here. And I appreciate you all, anyone that's been here before, anyone that's actually here now, and all of you that are watching here today or listening, because we'll put this also on a podcast as well. So I want to thank you because I know that all of you have spent so many years in the classroom, doing hundreds of NLP practitioners. And I know we've also helped hundreds and thousands of clients over the years. So there's a lot of knowledge here. And this community in particular, the one that we've got here, the Bandler McKenna community, is very engaging. So a lot of people are always helping and supporting each other. So I want to thank you all for being here today. So Cindy, where are you?
I'm in London.
Are you at home?
I'm at home, yeah.
Just checking, because if not, I'll tell Boross. Okay, and where are you, Garry?
I'm on the Welsh Marches at Hereford in the United Kingdom.
Brilliant. Okay, great. Well, thank you. So, Cindy, what are you doing more of now, and what are you doing in your personal time? How are you transitioning in these so exciting times that we have right now?
Do you know what? I'm absolutely loving this time. I mean, if I just put aside what's going on with the pandemic, because it's a time of quiet and I feel that I can actually think about things and I just feel a sense of release. So what I'm doing is I've started my second book. The More to Give was the first one. The second one's going to be an add-on to that with Mindy. And I'm working on the NLP book. I don't know if Christiane mentioned it or Orlando, that we're putting this NLP book together that we're all contributing chapters to. It's all the trainers got together and chatted about it. Richard's already written an introduction to it. It's going to be coming out. I'm not sure when. You guys can, maybe we're all getting our chapters in this week. So that's exciting. And
should come out on the 30th of April as an ebook.
It's an ebook. Oh, that's great. Thank you for letting me know. So I'm just taking time to do things that I've wanted to get around to that I was putting off. So in NLP terms, on the timeline for writing my next book, it was out there somewhere. It's like, oh, I'll get around to it. And then suddenly it came right in on the timeline. And otherwise seeing clients, and I think some of you were talking about it earlier, getting a lot of people calling in and they're just watching all the news and they're mesmerized. I think, Orlando, you might have mentioned the words in their head. They're just focusing on these negative things. It's like, stop doing that. I mean, it's great for business as a hypnotherapist, but, we got to help people to get past that. So I'm really having a lot of fun, to be honest, and just getting things done.
Yeah, well done. And some people might say, oh, my God, she's having fun. Because, there's a lot. We were talking about how many people are pretty tense. Some people are tense. There was someone running the other day and they were literally jogging nowhere near this person. I don't know if they were on the other, but they were nowhere near. And she started screaming, shouting because, someone was running relatively close to them. So we were saying before, this is going to be so much work for us later. Garry, what are you doing more of, if anything, and how are you helping and supporting kind of the community, or what kind of tips are you sharing?
In terms of doing, I guess I've been on Zoom for quite a while now, really working with people across the world. And I work with quite a number of top athletes as well, particularly in the martial art world. A lot of the sport has come to a stop now, but their challenges hasn't. And if anything, they've been aggravated. They've been working up to fights, preparation, or certain events. And with those going, it's, well, how do I keep motivated? How do I maintain what I'm meant to be doing? So that's still going on very much on that front. I did do lots of stuff with mental health charities. A number of those have been closed down, and people like the technicians and that have gone back into the NHS to help with that, which is great. But I'm also doing some deliveries for superstores and everything as well. This is a very rural aspect of the world. And a lot of people, particularly the older people, are really isolated here. They're just, single farmers living on their own, vulnerable, old. So that's a great opportunity to help out there as well. In terms of changing the business and advice to people, I think it's 2 words that I'm using as a core of that is adapt and act. Because this is space to think. It is very much thinking time, but unless you're going to do something about it, it really is worthless. Now, in the martial arts world, of course, that's a fundamental, to be able to adapt. Yeah, that's what I've used as my training ground over the years, is all of the NLP stuff and other techniques that I've developed. What a pressure testing ground it is, if somebody's about to smash you in the face. It was Mike Tyson that said, really, everybody has a plan until somebody smashes you in the face. And that's exactly what this has been. It is a smash in the face, but it is a gift. Absolutely. This is time for reframing for anybody else's NLP. It's beyond belief at the moment. It's this wonderful, it's been brought up about nature stepping in for the opportunities. Well, we are nature. The greatest amount of money that's ever been made in the world is in a recession. If you look back through all the recessions over the times, you look back through Federal Reserve information, that's when the most money is made, but only for those that are willing to adapt and act. Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of people don't, and a lot of people lose a lot of money, and a lot of people fail.
Can I just come in there with
of course, Paul. Love you to.
Really,
yes, and feel free to jump in if you have something interesting to say, obviously.
Oh, well, then I'll shut up.
Oh, shut up.
But what's really, and Christiane was talking about it earlier, and Garry's just really brought it to the fore again, is that if you get a chance to do something for somebody else, I actually think that's one of the best ways through this. We have a set of skills. And by the way, everybody who's watching this has a set of skills that they can give to somebody else. And if you want to stop worry, actually do some work. Give something to somebody. And actually, you will gain so much yourself. And so, I'm on the NHS, the National Health Service, for those of you around the world, list. And I get calls when somebody just needs to talk. Now, that's no big thing. Garry's delivering things around the world. Christiane's volunteering as well. It's no big thing. But actually, the gift, and I would say this to anybody out there, is to yourself as well. Mm-hmm. Feel useful, feel valued, connect, communicate with people. And that's a real gift for yourself. And it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
And if I can add, sorry, Christiane.
Yeah, I just would like to add, because that kind of takes out the uncertainty. You can create something for this. So basically, you can have more opportunities to create the certainty, taking control, being proactive with something, putting together like a daily routine with something, or having something that it's our choice, what we can do. What is it? Making a list of what can I actually do? What's in my control? There's so much uncertainty, so much out of our control, but it's so important how we react to it, what we make out of this. Some people would still say this is not a gift. They don't see it in it. But if they would reframe it, then definitely it will, if they see it as a reset time or something to go inside again and to really see, how can I make use of it? Maybe putting a time frame to it, because a lot of people say, oh, we don't know how long this will last. Well, we don't know. But if you would say it's a month or 2 months, I give myself, in this month, I want to accomplish this or that, then there is more certainty to it again, more control over what we can do, actually.
I'd like to add something here, which is a slightly devil's advocate position. I also want to give us all permission, including myself, to not be perfect all the time. I think it's really okay if I have half an hour when I do feel a bit whingy or a bit struggly or whatever it is. I think that being kind to ourselves, learning how to be generous and kind and loving to ourselves, because, even with all the skills in the world, sometimes I feel angry and I wish I didn't. And I have to work with that and allow it. And I think it's okay not to be perfect. And I kind of hope that everybody gets that one during this time. You don't have to be perfect. Doing your best and knowing how, like Orlando was saying, that was such a great story, Orlando. You were sitting out there with a beer feeling whingy, and then you got fed up with feeling whingy. That's a great moment.
Oh, sorry, Laura, to interrupt. I'm not interrupt to carry on, but the key thing there, which for me happened only when I did NLP at the age of 37, was the key word awareness. You see, for the first time, I was aware, and that's it. So as long as you're aware, that you are miserable and angry, and absolutely, I agree. Hey, listen, I'm angry. I've got sometimes where everything's extremely dark and I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's about being aware. And I think that's the key thing, that a lot of people are just walking around, literally not aware that when they walk into the room, the lights turn off or the bulbs explode, and everything is doom and gloom. And we felt that, So I think the key thing is being aware on that. But I agree with you.
Just quickly.
That's something...
I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you very much, Bernardo. Being aware, I looked at my watch and I'm aware that the sun's already up in New Zealand and it's almost time for me to get to work here in the UK for New Zealand. So I'll go enjoy tomorrow with them, and thank you very much for this evening.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm very happy that you were aware of the time, Orlando. Well done.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye, Orlando.
Good luck.
There's a couple of you that are still pending to join us. Sorry, guys, you can carry on a minute. There's a couple of you that are still pending to join us. I think, Naheed, I've let you in. Anyone else that wants to join us that is still pending, please come in. Go ahead, Garry.
No, but just picking up on something Paul said there, being the expert pitch doctor, what a great opportunity just volunteering for a few things has been. I've been to some of the best networking I've done for a long time. I've met a Royal Marine who's just about to go in, the ambulance driver. I've met top sports photographer in the equestrian world. I've met a Michelin chef. This is just people that have said, okay, we're just going to turn up for something. But the skill sets within there and the people, to me, it's just a brilliant opportunity. And the same, I run a Thai boxing school as well. Obviously, that's classed as a gym, so it's closed. But do you know what? It's been turned into an overspill hospital. What a great thing. Mm. So then you've got to adapt, haven't you? So I've been doing all the exercise classes online for free. But I've reached a far bigger audience. Thai boxing is quite a niche sport. It's a high-contact sport. But now I've reached out to many more people.
I would fight you now, Garry, on Zoom.
Would you? That'd be great. That'd be something.
Sorry.
Go on. Please
sorry, Garry. Don't fight me. No, I just wanted to add to something that Garry was saying, that I have found, that random act of kindness thing really works. So when we're standing in line at our social distancing things, I was at a Tesco's the other day and somebody was freaking out a little bit. And it was a perfect opportunity to do some reframing with her and get her calmed down. And she was so appreciative, and the smile on her face just warmed my heart. And other people in line were saying, hey, can you teach me a little bit about that? So even these random moments that we have mean so much. And it did feel good. And just to be able to share the gifts that we have means a lot to people. Absolutely. And I was walking on Hampstead Heath the other day, and there was the classic eccentric Brit who was measuring his social distance. He had his arm out with an umbrella at the end, and he was shouting at people, no, I don't think that you belong together. So I just was at a safe distance from him and started talking with him. And we talked about things, and I got him laughing a little bit, and he relaxed a little bit, and he saw things a little bit differently. Was he
the guy walking around with a hula hoop around his neck that Paul was talking about before?
I think they must be related, but it was a different guy.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so there's more than one. I get it. But no, absolutely. Listen, taking these times to help people, because, again, you know, a lot of the things that we take for granted that we know, that you know, they just simply have never been taught. So, you know, it will go far with what we can do. And I know a lot of you who are watching either on Facebook or on YouTube, please feel free to ask questions. And I would please highly recommend each and every one of the panelists that have been here today. If you have anything that's of value that you could provide, that could help people, please feel free to put them in there, because I know you will have phenomenal content. So feel free to do that. Paul, I sent you a little message on your phone just because you didn't see it, Paul Boross. So I'm waiting for a couple of Naheed and a couple of others to join us. Anyone jump in next while I'm waiting for my next guest?
Yeah, Bernardo, I would like to add something to what you said, the awareness. I believe it was Mary Morrissey where I've heard this from. Notice what you're noticing. It's such a clear kind of message. Notice what you're noticing. And to go from that, it's being, like you said earlier, it was been said before, like being easy on oneself. You know, when it's necessary, when we feel that's currently, I'm wound up by this or something, you know, then, okay, what do I need right now? And sometimes it's just a simple question also, what exactly would make me feel better right now to get to the next step? Just taking one step after the other, basically. And then, of course, finding kind of a healthy solution, not the drinking part, unless it's just a little bit maybe or so, but in moderation. You know, if it's maybe the bath, taking a bath, or music, or going for a walk. So yesterday I had one of those moments where I got noticed that I wasn't happy about, and I just felt I need to do something. So my coping was then to go for a walk, to call someone afterwards, maybe. So just to what helps, to have maybe also a list to write down, even when the anxiety kicks in for some people. So to have a list, what coping would work well, what can they try,
and reach out. I think reaching out is really great. And, you know, we are a fantastic NLP community. We've all been trained. Our attitudes are all in service to our fellow humans. It's what lights us up. And we've got great colleagues. So, you know, if I'm having a difficult day, I will contact one of my NLP colleagues and say, hey, I'm not ashamed to admit that today I need somebody else's perspective because mine's just a little at a low ebb. I'm a bit tired, or, you know, I don't know what to do, or I'm worried about something. And then, you know, we can help each other. If this isn't a time to collaborate, then I really don't know. I think that everybody is having to learn how to collaborate. And for me, that is, well, I know people have been calling me crazy, but I've been saying I think this virus could be the Messiah and we wouldn't even notice. You know, we need to notice the good bits of what's coming. Collaborating, honesty, learning to be comfortable with not knowing, being in the present. All these things are fantastic to practice. Now, I'm enjoying every second of practicing it. I don't know about you. I like what I'm being forced to practice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Laura, so listen, so if I go and stroke your dog, and then you and I are going to have words, yeah? Okay. No, yeah. Laura was talking about she was in the park the other day and someone went to stroke her dog. So you needed some help then, Laura.
She shot them.
I just actually flowered the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. She had to get in the shower.
He got her umbrella out, and that was it. And the dog was washed, so it was all good. So I've got a couple of we've got some really great people that have joined us here on the webinar. So which weren't, I'm not saying they weren't invited, but they weren't invited as panelists. So I've asked them to come and join us if they wanted to. Naheed, hey, how are you? Thank you for joining us. So Naheed Khan is a mindset coach and a speaker. She's a master practitioner of NLP and a certified extended DISC administrator advanced, which you're going to explain to me what it is. So Naheed, how are you? Where are you?
I'm very well. I'm in Dubai.
You're in Dubai? Oh, brilliant. Okay, cool. And are you in a restaurant or are you at home?
No, this is a complete lockdown out here. I cannot step out.
Okay, I know. I'm only joking. I normally ring people. I say, where are you now? And they say, I'm at home. Okay, just checking. So it's great because you know where everyone is. I was talking to my team the other day because, I said to them, look, this is the time to call our customers to show them that we care. Hey guys, how are you doing? How's the NLP? Are you taking advantage of it? And nothing else. That's the only thing we got to do. Because I was saying to them, I said, you know what? You've always been complaining that you can never get hold of them. Guess what? They're all at home now. Everyone is at home. Any of you that are interested in doing business, there's never been a better time to do business. Now you ring them and everyone answers the phone. Oh my God, thank you for ringing. Where have you been? Now you won't get a credit card out of them, but you will have an amazing conversation and they will be eternally grateful because they will remember that you rang them when it was important. And this is the time when it's important. So my advice to you, to coaches, trainers, people that have companies, show that you care. Unfortunately, we've got 130,000 people on our list, so it's going to take us a bit of time to get through all of them. But we're slowly and surely calling as many as we can and just saying, hey, we're here if we can help. So Naheed, what are you? I've got a couple of friends in Dubai, so I've been speaking. I know it's very strict over there too. So what are you doing a lot of now, and how are you helping people?
As for my own self, I am loving what Laura said and exactly practicing that. I'm taking a chill pill, just relaxing, being in my space, being in the present moment, enjoying my time with my son, doing work. And I think I'm, even with the less amount of time that I get because my son's home and I have to do homeschooling for him. But I think I'm being much more productive than what I was before because there's a sense of calmness, there's a sense of happiness. Even being locked inside the house, not being able to go out, but still there is peace. There's a happiness of doing things at my own pace, and there's a thing of satisfaction of doing things with a purpose. I am working on my modules. I'm working on my projects with the purpose of helping people, which was there earlier too. But I know that today there is a greater cause associated with it. I've been doing certain, as you said, talking to your clients, existing clients, yes. But then I've also had certain friends who I know that, their business was very vulnerable to this time. So I've been calling them up and, behold, my assumptions were right. They were in depression. They were in a very bad state of mind. So that call actually really, really made them feel very, very, different. And it did change their perspective because we got talking. It was an impromptu session which happened with them. They signed me on as a coach because they wanted to feel better. They wanted to look beyond. They wanted to live in the moment, but they also wanted to, be ready to accept this change and get over this. They don't want to feel anxiety. They don't want to feel panic. They want to feel at peace and they want to think what they can do more once we are out of this. So that is something which I feel that a lot of people are not doing. They say they have a positive mindset, but when it comes to speaking, they use words like catastrophic circumstances. I mean, if it's a catastrophic circumstances, what are you looking at? You're looking at the wrongs, and then you say that we will be out of this. Okay, you are looking at a catastrophe which you'll be out of. So where are you heading with your thoughts? Where are you? The words that you're speaking to yourself, if you're using words as heavy as catastrophe, as heavy as a pandemic and difficult time and challenging times, it is interesting times. It's a time which is a gift to us. We've been given a second chance. All of us, all of humanity has been given a second chance. We are not looking at that. We've been given a second chance to slow down, to pause, to get connected with our own self, which we had absolutely disconnected with because of the fast-paced life that we were all living.
It is, and kind of like, Paul brought it up last week when he was mentioning, obviously that's been in the news, about comparing what our grandparents and parents went through, in the Second World War, when it was 5 years of war and millions of people dying, and we've been forced to spend a month eating, from the fridge and watching Netflix. So kind of like, come on, guys, no one's going to feel sorry for you. And then again, if it's 3.5 billion of the population that's inconvenienced right now, I reckon there's at least 2 billion or 3 billion that would give half of whatever they have or parts of their body to be where you are. I have a home, I having running water, I having electric, I having internet. So, again, let's put things in perspective. And I'm going to just share this one and then I'll let you guys run with it. Also, I was speaking to someone the other day and they said, look, let's look at the worst case scenario. And it is serious for a lot of people who have been in hospital, who've lost loved ones. I'm not saying that it isn't, but I'm just saying is if you had these two scenarios, you still had a job or you were dead, well, you would probably not want to be dead and you would still probably, wouldn't care about your job. So at the end of the day, it's about putting things in perspective. If you're still safe, if your family's safe and everyone's at home, and the fact that you might have to reinvent yourself, you might have to get new skills, or it might take you 3 or 4 months to get back on track. Hey, listen, it's happened. There's nothing we can do about it apart from embracing it and obviously using it to our advantage.
Well, and I would just add to that, my 88-year-old mother said, who lived through the war, obviously, said, we had to fight them on the beaches. All you have to do is sit on your asses.
Yes.
And, that's the perspective. And I think what Bernardo's saying, we are the luckiest people in the world. But if you're watching this, you've got the internet. You're living in a house. There's all kinds of things. And so it's where you put your attention.
Absolutely. And we have a list of things that when we actually sit down to put our gratitude list, the list of things that we are grateful for, we'll just outnumber anybody at the moment right now. If we can just jot down the things that we have been blessed with. I mean, there's just so much of abundance all around us, but we are so used to looking at what's being taken away. We just ignore all of this.
We'll be the first generation of grandparents telling our grandchildren, in our day, we had everything. We could fly around the world for next to nothing. We went on holidays. How different the world may be, just in a completely different way. Not bad, just different. And they'll raise their eyebrows at us and go, yeah, granddad, yeah, I've heard that story before. Because just generations change, isn't it? And everything will be done in a different way. This is the opportunity. Or not. That's a choice. And again, quoting Virginia Satir, wasn't it? When you've only one choice, that's not a choice. Yeah. And some people are just choosing to have one choice. It's like a process of grief, this isn't that moment. It's like the stages of denial, depression, intense emotion, and then move on. And clearly, many people are in different stages of it. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. They're just at a different stage of grief. Some are stuck in denial, clearly, and they're still wandering the streets, quoting every theory going. But a lot of us that have had the skills and the NLP that can help people move through those stages, we've moved on. We've moved on clearly. Yeah? We should be the shining lights, the lanterns that lead the way for everybody else. And Bernardo, hats off to you for doing something like this, because you're inviting all the lanterns to one place. So the lux level has gone through the roof.
Yeah, well, thank you. And you know, kind of for me, when I, you know, because I do what I do, I also kind of raise my standards, you know. So I've always been very aware of raising standards and making sure that I stick to it. And I think, you know, in these times when I'm looking at with love and respect to see so many people doing what they're supposed to be doing and are doing, which is, you know, Facebook Lives and Zooms and webinars and helping and supporting each other. Well, for me, the scalability is too small. I'm thinking so much bigger, because if my events had 12, 14,000 people, 150 speakers, I can't be thinking of a small panel of 20 people. I have to be thinking of thousands of people. And I'm just saying right now, watch this space, because, you know, that's kind of where I'm going with it. And I think that's what it is. It's about raising your standards. Each and every one of you have a phenomenal set of tools and expertise, and you have to go out there and lead the way. And some of them might not, you know, kind of appreciate what you're doing now, might not want to pay for what you're doing now, might not want to, you know, really listen to what you're doing now, but what you're doing is recorded. What you're doing is part of your legacy. Every word, everything that you do, every action that you take is part of your legacy. That's what it is. No one can take that away from you. So that is the responsibility that we have. We have to be, you know, the lanterns in this place. So you all and each and every one of you have shared beautiful golden nuggets here. And here we are today. This is recorded. And you know, and right now there's 10 or 15 people watching it live, but I know hundreds and thousands of people will watch this in the months and years to come. My job, my emphasis is to say, guys, stop watching the crap. Stop watching Netflix and that series of FBI murderers or the New Jersey Boys or whatever crap you're watching, and spend some time in listening to people that are trying to give you some great ideas and tips. And I'm just going to leave this with, and out of these great times come. I was talking about partnerships and alliances, and I know we've all said that you know, this is the time to collaborate and to work. I believe it's a bigger word. I'm thinking in alliances. So I'm really looking at how my brand can really partner up with other big brands that we could then run bigger things together. So, you know, obviously that's why we're pushing all the content. Luckily we had the Best You Online. So now we're pushing courses. So any of you that have courses, reach out to me, because we want to put them to our platform. If any of you run events or used to do events and you want to speak to us. But from this comes great minds get together. And I'm just going to leave this one here. So Paul and I have come up with an idea of putting something together, which is a podcast where, you know, I'm quite excited to make this happen. And we're calling it, and I'm going to let Paul run with it now, but we're calling it From Isolation to Inspiration.
And that's what it's about. It's taking people from one space to another space. How can we use this time to give inspiring messages? Bernardo and I were talking, we, like you guys, we have this extraordinary group of people that we know. And actually, I grew up in the world of comedy. And so I know lots of comedians. Comedians don't have an outlet for their comedy. So what we're offering is an outlet for comedians, business leaders, people like ourselves who have inspiring thoughts, who can change the way people feel and go from isolation to having a little bit of inspiration. So I'm really excited to be working with Bernardo and doing it. So look out for it coming very soon.
Thank you, Paul.
Can I just say a quick goodbye, because my dog is going to kill me if I don't feed her now, because for you it's in the morning. For me, it's night. May I bid you farewell?
Laura, thank you
very much.
Thank you.
See you all.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Laura, for sharing
Laura.
something. Thank you, darling. Thank you for what you do as well. Thank you. So now, guys, this is the time. And I mean, I think the idea that Paul and I came from is because we normally have a bit of banter together. We always, you know, laugh at each other. Well, I laugh at you. So when Paul was coming on Zoom this morning, I said to him, please turn the light down, because, you know, kind of, I don't want to, you know, offend anyone that's watching. But that's the whole idea, is we laugh at each other. But what we want to bring is people that have a sense of humor, whereby we do take things seriously, but we are looking at those people that have made something out of nothing, or have made something out of this adversity and the situation we have, and have run with it. And we want to present, those cases, and we want to laugh a little bit more, because although it is serious, we can bring that humor. And I think we all know, and I'm obviously going to invite Richard to be one of our guests. That's what Richard does so beautifully. People are cracking up laughing, but they're all learning, and they're all learning because, he's changing their state all the time. So that's what we want to bring in. So what else, anyone? Because I've got a couple of more guests, but please feel free to jump in and share anything.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leave, so I'm going to say thank you for the opportunity, and it's great to see everyone, but I've got to jump off now.
Well, Cindy, thank you so much. Very well done. I'm very, very proud of you. I'm very proud of everything that you've done and how much you've grown and how many amazing things you're doing. So well done. Congratulations.
Thanks. I'll see you again, maybe in October.
Yes.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Garry, with a lot of the people, there's with PTSD and a lot of homeless people, for example, here in LA, it's
massive.
It's massive, and the police were trying to, get them to leave space amongst themselves as well. And it's difficult, and obviously, as we know, 80% of the people that are homeless in the LA area are ex-army personnel, which is really bad, and obviously a lot of them struggling with PTSD. So what can you do, or what can we do, at the moment to support, if anything?
I think it's been well documented with homeless people that they're just invisible. That's the thing, isn't it? And then around the world, there's lots of areas that are just rounding them up and then forcing them to be in a lockdown place. It's a little bit different in the UK here. I don't know what you've heard, that a number of footballers and that have handed over hotels they own, not just to NHS, but also to homeless to put them up. And then a law was passed as well that councils must house them. Now, that's very different in the US, particularly California, isn't it? It's about numbers. I've got relatives in California that keep me updated with that. What can we do for them? Talk to them. That's the fundamental human thing, isn't it? Just to be recognized and chatted to. I know everybody says about people that before this event happened, homeless on the street, not give them money because it's going to go to drugs. And I think, I'm going to be brutal here to say that, do you know what, if I was faced in that situation, maybe that's the only way of coping. Every behavior the brain comes up with is a genius solution. Now, the great thing about this is we all know about 28 days. Everybody has a bit of a different opinion, but let's say a month to change a habit. Or whether you're homeless, maybe that can create you a different habit of ways of looking at things. If there's support of people paying you attention, of talking to you, recognizing you as a human being. Now, in parts of the world, maybe there are different parts, so I'm not going to even go into it because I don't want to politicize it. But that's not being done. The US has an opportunity to show its humanity now as well.
Well, I think it's funny because I was reading that around, finding homes for homeless, the councils and all that. And it's funny that we have to come to this to find, homes for them,
Yeah.
When we could probably do this at any time. Yeah, I don't know what they're particularly doing here. But what you were saying is obviously is that ultimately what we want is we want to be, we want to be spoken to, we want to be listened, we want to know that people care. But it is down to love, I keep coming back to that in every workshop, seminar, event that I've done, and any expertise that it is really down to love. We all want to be loved. We all want to be observed. We all want to be, and that's why we put stuff on Instagram, hoping that someone's going to bloody like it. And we put a post on Facebook, someone's going to like it. It's a form of love, But that's kind of what I hope and I believe is there's a lot more of that happening now. I think, it's easier to see love now. And I think, of us caring more for each other than probably ever before. And I do believe that I think this will be, it will mark, it will be different moving forward.
I made a few notes, actually, Bernardo, on taking up what you and Paul are doing, isolation to inspiration, and what sprung to my mind. So isolation, what was the worst thing done in any humanity, from the church or a tribe or anything, is exile. To be exiled from the tribe, that's isolation, isn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then inspiration, the etymology of that really is to receive spirit, love. Just what you're saying. Right? That's fundamentally what the feeling of spirit is, isn't it? Is love on a much bigger scale. So the program that the both of you are putting together really answers your own question about how to deal with homelessness in the US, really.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, it looks like, Paul, we might have a good show, we'll see. Hopefully you don't let me down.
It doesn't go well, it's my fault, just so you were clear.
I love this man. We always have a laugh. And it's funny because one of the photographs that we're using is one that we actually had together. Was it at the expo or was it at the Soho?
No, it was outside Soho House where we just had a liquid lunch.
Oh, we had a liquid lunch. That's why we were both smiling so much. So, I can't wait. Naheed, there's a lot of, obviously within the population in Dubai, pretty much, is it 80% or 90% is workforce, which are not locals? How is it affecting there in the hotel industry, and what is the impact it's having over there specifically right now?
The hospitality industry is quite badly impacted, in fact, because tourism was one of the major source of income out here. And hotels, we had in fact come up with a lot of new projects because of the Expo 2020, which was supposed to start from October. Exactly. Yeah, so there were a lot of new properties which had come up, and a lot of new people had been recruited, and there was too much of things happening in the hospitality industry. Whether we are talking hotels and we are talking service apartments, we are talking new housing complexes, we are talking new apartment buildings coming up. So that's taken a very bad hit. In fact, quite a few of the hotels have, they've temporarily closed down. They've shut businesses for now because there are no people. People have been asked to leave. The guests who want to leave the country now, we're running special flights from next week wherein people can leave. Those who are stuck here, they can leave the country, and nobody's coming in. So that's taken a pretty major hit, and there's quite a few of businesses which are actually looking at laying people off rather starting from this month onwards, and because they're not able to sustain. And I think that's going to take some time to build back again. We will build back because they are very resilient out here. They're very, very strong in terms of getting back on their feet. That's one of the beautiful things about this place is that they're very positive when it comes to getting back. Even if there's a situation which is there, the more focus is on after this, when we come back, how strong we're going to come back. And that's something even I am doing right now. Like I'm running a series of webinar, which is just on the strength of a positive mind. When you think positive, what are the realities that you can create for yourself, how you can look beyond this time and see what you can create once this is over. Because this is temporary, this is going to be over. And that's something which I see reflected a lot here. But then again, yes, more than 70% of the population is expats. And a couple of them are now, looking at when their jobs are gone, how are they going to sustain here? How are they going to maintain, stay here? How are they going to take care of the expenses? Because jobs are being laid off. People are being laid off. Job cuts will happen. So that's something which is there, and that's a reality. I mean, even if we try to help them to keep a positive mindset, but the fact is that they have to make their plans. They have to make their, they have to re-strategize everything, whether they're going to stay in this country, whether they're going to go back, because even for new jobs to come in, it will take some time. So that's something where you are having to build people to, stay positive, that even if you've got to go back, that's not the end of it. You have an opportunity to come back, or if you can sustain yourself for a few days, get into some kind of projects, get into some kind of consultancy work so that you can sustain yourself a couple of months. At the same time, build your skills, build your talent, build your capabilities, and then come back stronger than what you were before. Mm-hmm. But then, yes, the hospitality industry has taken a hit.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much. I think kind of globally, it's where we are. I think kind of like, we just have to be. My thing is that, and no one will convince me any otherwise. Is that the fact is that we are social animals, and that we will all be in public places again.
Absolutely.
We will all be sharing spaces. We will all be hugging each other. I know Paul and I will be at the Soho House as soon as they open. So the fact is that it's going to be. And for those of them that can't see it or can't conceive it, let me just tell you, humanity has gone through worse. Humanity has had harder challenges in a time with less technology. And I was actually speaking to Sharon Lecter the other day, who, is the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. I recorded her talk the other day, and she was telling me, that kind of like, in the last recession that was here in the US, the economy was at rock bottom. And now when it's actually going to hit recession, which it will, the economy was at its highest it's ever been, with less unemployment than ever has been. So, and when you look at the US government, you got to give them that. They put $2-3 trillion into the economy. There's so much, and there's so much technology coming. And so my advice to everyone, and I really insist on this, is just use this time wisely to learn new skills. Use this time wisely to understand where business will change, because it will change. It won't be exactly the same, and it will take a little bit of time to get back. But people will go to hotels. People will go on holidays. People will get on planes. So for those of you that can't see that or can't conceive that, we'll make those pictures big, bright, double the size, and then double them again. So I think we've only got a couple of more minutes. I'm waiting for someone else. So any last thoughts, Christiane, before we leave? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. There you go.
You muted me in this. But I would like to add something that I just saw. I think it was 2 days ago on Facebook, and it was Elizabeth Gilbert from the Eat, Pray, and Love. The author, and she shared a story, and the golden nugget that she gave, and which I found resonated with me too, is like, whatever happens, right? We cannot influence what happens around us, only how we respond, or, sort of reacting, learning to respond. That's really important through our thoughts, through everything that we do, basically. That's my golden nugget. But what she added, basically, which resonates to this, is our heart. Basically, this is who we are. This is who we are, and this is where we live. And I thought that made so much sense. No matter where we are, we are always with us. We're always who we are when we come from our hearts. And you mentioned that earlier too, to put a lot of love out there at the moment, and hope and good things. And the thinking is the good, the positive, being proactive. What can we do? How we can control of what we can actually in our control. What's in our control? So.
I love that. And I'm a massive fan of Liz Gilbert. I always recommend this book every time I have an opportunity. Just because you mentioned, I'm going to do it now. Another book that I recommend is Big Magic. And the whole concepts and idea, I don't know if you've read it, but it's a phenomenal book. And if you can, do the audio version, because she reads it. And basically the idea is around ideas that from the beginning of time, in the Greeks and the Romans, ideas basically used to come to individuals, and they used to channel. That's kind of when we talk about channeling and wisdom, and sometimes where did these things come from? So, and a lot of the times I think, we do experience, oh my God, where did that idea come from? So she says in this book that the ideas are literally entities that are traveling around the world trying to become a reality. So they find beings where they can come in and live. And then that being then creates this idea, and it becomes a reality. And I'm sure we've all experienced that. How many of us have seen something that they've invented, think, oh my God, I thought of that 10 years ago, like Deliveroo, or a lot of the things that are there now. I thought Deliveroo before it even came out. But what's beautiful about it is her concept is that if you don't bring this idea to life, this idea will leave you. And that's why all of a sudden it becomes a reality in another being. So we all have ideas, and we all have, the wisdom, to channel these ideas. And like when I was speaking to Jeff Hoffman yesterday from Priceline, who's a billionaire, this guy says that what he is, he's always been a problem solver. He's never explored. He's always been a problem solver. He doesn't consider himself an entrepreneur. He's looked at where there is a problem and he's come up with a solution. And that's how he became a billionaire. And everything that he does is to find a solution. So each and every one of us have solutions, and we have to find the ways of us being able to go out there and share them, because that's what the world needs. The world needs now more than ever solutions. But I love the heart and the head. I love that.
Renata, may I ask you again, what's the title of the book that you mentioned?
It's Liz Gilbert. Her talk actually is there's a TED talk. It's Big Magic. Liz Gilbert. Yeah. And I would highly recommend, as I said, just because I love her voice, is to download the actual audio version of it.
I will do that. Thank you.
She reads it to you. So that's a great book. And that's the other thing I wanted to do, guys, is that I wanted you, anyone that's listening either today, please recommend us if you want a book now. And if any of you that are listening to this, maybe when it's recorded, please make sure that you share. One of the books I was going to mention when we were talking about before is a very easy book for those of you that are starting in NLP, which was shared a couple of days ago, is Richard Bandler's Get the Life You Want, which is all about getting through, getting over, and getting to, and that's basically getting over, getting through, and getting to things, and it just literally gives you all that, and that's what we need to do now. We need to get through this to get to the other side.
Right.
Yeah, I can recommend a book if you want. It's called A Life Without Fear by a wonderful gentleman named Garry Jones.
Heard of him.
You know what? The one objective I wanted to get for this, where you're mentioning Get the Life You Want, Bernardo, was I got to number 1 with it just to get ahead of Richard's book. And I thought, yes, I've really made it.
Well done.
But seriously,
well, it's a perfect.
You've mentioned another good book before,
it's a perfect title, Garry. It's a perfect title.
Well, yeah, October, I thought it was a preempting thing, really. A book you've mentioned often really is got to be high on my list. To everybody, it's got to be Start With Why, isn't it? Simon Sinek. I mean,
Simon Sinek, yeah.
In business planning, thinking now this time we've got, what better book to have on your shelf?
Yeah. And any other book? I won't talk about the question, Find Your True Purpose.
We can see it. It's clearly positioned.
I didn't even realise. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about any of my books, to be honest with you.
But I've got to say that when I wrote my book, and obviously it is based on kind of my life experiences, but it is very NLP because of the influence. It is really all down to our internal dialogue, you know, kind of, and kind of the very simple quote that I have there many times is that the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions you ask yourself, you know. And the 3 traits of success that I talk about, that I wrote about a couple of years ago, which are so current now, which is obviously resilience, which we all need a lot of now. Obviously revolution, which is change. We're going through a revolution right now. And then the third aspect of it is reinvention, which, again, we're all going through right now. So for me, it's really aligned with the current situation that we're going through, but making sure that we spend time in thinking of. And I also say that, and I've said this here, I think, is that we don't spend enough time thinking about what we're thinking about. You know, so now we do have the time. And even if you have a 1-bedroom apartment and you've got 4 kids running around all over the place, there's still a moment where you can get into the toilet or in the bath and shut the door. You know what I mean? Or get into the car and close yourself in. But it's so important that we spend some time thinking, because there's so much going on and we're so creative as well. I think what happens with a lot of us in this time is my creativity is 200 miles an hour. I mean, I'm waking up every night at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I can't go back to sleep. I got up this morning at the end. I got up at 4 because I was bored. So, you know, I think it's about spending time on thinking and definitely spending time in reading the right books. Naheed?
One book which I would add is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, which I think if you haven't read out there, it's a must read for everyone. And I actually think it changed my life. I really just think it's so profound.
It's a fundamental message of needing a purpose. How relevant is that now, Paul? Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it is based, for those of you that may not know, it's based on the true story of living through the war in the concentration camp, and it explores obviously how he managed to survive, and there's a beautiful part of it which is all around empathy and apathy, and how to keep that thin line between empathy and apathy to be able to stay alive, because we do have this. A lot of us are going through this now, and I include myself. We're going through that apathy moment at times because it is about staying alive. It is about staying on top. It is about, staying focused. And you've got to take care of number one, which is the family, So,
So it will give you fabulous perspective on what we're going through as opposed to what other people have been through and survived. And the only other thing I was going to add, because this is we're all steeped in NLP, is future pace our own lives as well, not just your clients. When we look back on this, what will we see, and how will we laugh? Loud and long, I hope.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'd just like to add, Richard last time said, the currency of living is in moments. And we have been blessed with the time to create those moments, So it's time when we live in the present and create those moments of tomorrow. When we look back, we have memories of this time which actually last us for a lifetime. Like Bernardo said, this is the time for us to create a legacy.
Absolutely. Well, boys and girls, I wanted to thank you so much for being here. You are. Listen, the others have left. Okay, so I just wanted to tell you guys were the best. Okay, I know, no one's listening to us right now, but you guys were the best. No, really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you so much for being here. Great tips, great wisdom. I'm very happy. I want to let you know that we're literally going to be doing this every week now. So every Thursday, we're going to be back here. We'll be back sharing ideas. We're going to invite some more people to come along. Obviously, if you feel that you're around and you want to jump back in, you guys want to share something, please feel free. But I really appreciate what you're doing. I really appreciate who you are. And I want to thank you so much for your time. And I want to thank everyone and anyone that's watching, listening. And hey, stay safe and be well. Take care.
Be well, my
Thank you very much.
Take care.
See you soon, Paul.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.